All right, let's dive into something pretty wild today. We're going to look at a brand new theory of the universe, one that proposes there's a fundamental force that's been hiding in plain sight this whole time. It's an idea that could genuinely change how we see everything. So, let's get into it.
So let's just start with this question right off the bat. What if there's a fundamental force of the universe that we've been completely, totally ignoring? I mean, something so basic to reality that we just take it for granted, but it's actually this super powerful force we've never even tried to calculate. That's the rabbit hole we're going down today.
Okay, so before we get into the really new stuff, we've got to make sure we're all on the same page. In this first section, let's do a quick recap of a concept you probably remember from, high school physics.
And that concept is force. The source material for this whole idea kicks things off with the classic textbook definition, right? A force is simply an influence that can change an object's motion. It can push it, pull it, speed it up, slow it down, change its direction. You get the idea. It's a foundational concept.
And of course, this whole idea is wrapped up in probably one of the most famous and elegant equations in all of science. F equals m times a. Force equals mass times acceleration. It's so simple, so powerful, and it's basically been the bedrock of classical mechanics for centuries.
Breaking it down is super simple. F is the force, m is the mass of whatever object we're talking about, how much stuff is in it, and a is its acceleration. This little formula has served us incredibly well. But, and here's the big question, what if it's missing something?
And that's where we get to the core of this new theory, the overlooked element. This is where things take a really sharp turn, suggesting that our classic way of looking at things, well, it's been missing a giant piece of the puzzle all along. The entire theory really hangs on this one single, powerful idea, captured in this quote. This space is the foremost important to govern all the forces. Now think about that. The argument here is that space isn't just this empty, passive background where things happen. Nope, it's an active governor of reality itself.
So why is space so critical? Well, the author argues that because it's literally everywhere, it's inside every atom, and it fills the entire cosmos, nothing can exist or move without it. And the theory goes that by neglecting space as an active component, we're making our entire understanding of the universe way more complex than it needs to be.
So this brings us to section 3, and this is where the idea really starts to get formalized. We're moving beyond this general concept of space's importance and toward actually defining it as a real, measurable force. So, what exactly is space force? Well, the theory proposes it's the governing influence of space itself. Try not to think of it as an empty vacuum. Think of it more like a foundational medium, a field that allows for and dictates the rules of existence and movement for everything within it, from the smallest particle to the largest galaxy.
Now look, if you're going to propose a new fundamental force, you have to back it up with some math, right? And that leads us to the final and maybe most interesting part of this theory, a new cosmic equation.
This is really the key question, isn't it? If we accept this premise that space is a force, how does that impact our most fundamental equations, like the one for total energy? How do you even account for this new variable?
And here's the result. The author proposes a new equation for total energy. It's got the familiar relationship between mass and gravitational energy, but with a bold new addition, a variable for space force. This suggests that every energy calculation we have ever made has been incomplete, because we've failed to account for the fundamental influence of the space an object occupies.
So we end up right back where we started, with this provocative question that sits at the heart of this theory. What if we've been looking at the universe all wrong? What if space isn't the stage, but one of the main actors? An active, governing force shaping everything we see. It's a fascinating idea to ponder. Thanks for watching.